Good morning. On today's news broadcast, migrants on the Mexican border, wildfires in California, and new election winners, plus local sports, weather, and more. APSU-TV News starts right now. Good morning, I'm Karina Galvan.
And I'm Meghann Stamps.
The Russia investigation is clearly on President Trump's mind, with him lashing out at the probe again. CNN's Pamela Brown reports.
President Trump staying on message in front of the cameras today, working to quell criticism after skipping Veterans Day events in Paris and at home over the long weekend.
It's my honor to be with you, and God bless America. Keep up the great work.
But lashing out off camera. Following 3 days of going over the special counsel's questions with his legal team, Trump spent his morning tweeting, calling the Russia investigation, quote, a disgrace to our nation, and once again claiming it's a total witch hunt like no other in American history, saying these are angry people, including the highly conflicted Bob Mueller, who worked for Obama for 8 years.
It is my honor to nominate Robert S. Mueller of California to become the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Trump, however, failing to mention that special counsel Robert Mueller was first appointed by President George W. Bush as FBI director and then continued serving under President Obama. He's also a registered Republican. The president's attacks on the Mueller investigation today come during a week of White House dysfunction after losing power in the House of Representatives. The First Lady forced the president's hand in reassigning the Deputy National Security Advisor, with more potential firings on the horizon. Still, the president defended his administration, tweeting today, the White House is running very smoothly, and instead called the Mueller investigation a total mess, tweeting they have found no collusion and have gone absolutely nuts. They are screaming and shouting at people, horribly threatening them to come up with the answers they want. But sources say it's the president that is growing more furious by the day. A White House official telling CNN, quote, yes, he's pissed at damn near everyone. Already, 9 cabinet officials have left the Trump administration. Tensions continue to rise with his chief of staff, John Kelly, and the fate of Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen is still uncertain, a day after Trump said he would be making a decision on her post shortly. Special counsel Robert Mueller is one person some lawmakers are trying to protect from being fired.
The president now has this investigation in his sights, and we all know it.
But despite efforts by retiring Republican Senator Jeff Flake to force the Senate vote on a bill to protect the investigation, other Republicans say that's not necessary, despite the president's attacks.
If you did do that bill, all you do is get into a big hassle. So
with the president?
With him and with a lot of others.
Democratic Senator Chris Coons unsuccessfully attempted to force a Senate vote on the special counsel legislation Wednesday. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell objected to retiring Republican Senator Jeff Flake's request to vote.
The first wave of Central American migrants from the group that formed last month have now reached the U.S.-Mexico border. Many with the goal of crossing into the U.S. now literally within sight. But the Trump administration's stance has not changed. CNN's John Lawrence reports.
About 100 migrant men, women, and children are now in Tijuana, where they wait at a shelter, hoping to cross into the U.S. for a better future. They are the first of a much larger group to reach the border.
That they can give their kids an education, that they can actually be free from violence and rape and murder. And it sounds extreme, but that's exactly what's going on here.
Some of the migrants traveled more than 2,000 miles. But the Trump administration hasn't budged an inch, assigning 5,900 troops to the border region, according to one defense official.
No nation can allow its borders to be overrun, and that's an invasion.
2 members of the administration will visit parts of the Texas border Wednesday. Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen will tour with the Northern Command. Defense Secretary James Mattis will be in McAllen, taking note of expenses.
We'll update you on costs as they become known.
Obviously, the units executing the border mission have got to report the men up here, but we are capturing the cost.
Critics of the White House say having troops on the border because of the migrants is a mistake.
Using our troops as political pawns for his political interests is just wrong.
I am not really interested in the politics. I'm interested in how we as people can learn to embrace the immigrant.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Aid groups say the remaining members of the caravan are still more than 1,000 miles away from the U.S. border.
The newly elected members of the U.S. House of Representatives and Senate have arrived in Washington for orientation, and the group includes a record number of women to win seats in the House. But there are some key races, like Florida Senate race, that are still undecided. CNN's Kelly Smoon has a report from Washington.
She will talk with the committee. She's not prepared to talk with them at a hearing on Monday.
Professor Christine Blasey Ford calling for the FBI to investigate her allegation that she was sexually assaulted by Judge Brett Kavanaugh in high school before she agrees to testify. Ford's lawyers writing in a letter to Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley that an FBI probe will ensure that the crucial facts and witnesses are assessed in a nonpartisan manner and that the committee is fully informed.
For the last 48 hours, she has been deflecting death threats and harassment and trying to care for her family and determine where they're going to sleep at night. And right now, she can't focus on having a hearing that hasn't been investigated and where nobody has talked to her.
The letter also charging that the hearing would include interrogation by senators who appear to have made up their minds that she is mistaken and mixed up, an apparent reference to these remarks.
Do you believe the accusers at all, or no?
Well, I think she's mistaken.
What did he say to you?
Well, he didn't do that. And he wasn't at the party. So, you know, there's clearly somebody's mixed up.
Grassley responding that the invitation for a public or private hearing for Monday still stands, before writing, nothing the FBI or any other investigator does would have any bearing on what Dr. Ford tells the committee, so there is no reason for any further delay. Republican Senators Orrin Hatch and Bob Corker later echoing Grassley's call for the hearing to proceed as planned. President Trump also weighing in, accusing Democrats of playing politics after expressing sympathy for Kavanaugh earlier in the day.
I feel so badly for him that he's going through this. This is not a man that deserves this.
And rejecting calls for an FBI probe.
I don't think the FBI really should be involved because they don't want to be involved.
Despite repeatedly calling for the FBI's intervention in other matters related to his political opponents. A number of Democrats reiterating their support for an FBI investigation and calling for more witnesses to appear before the committee, including Mark Judge, Kavanaugh's classmate who Ford says witnessed the alleged assault. Meanwhile, 24 of Ford's classmates sending a letter to Congress defending her character. Ford's friend telling CNN, "I know from the things she has told me, including her need to have more than one exit door in her bedroom to prevent her from being trapped, that this event was serious enough to have a lasting impact on her life."
Congressman Kevin McCarthy was elected House Minority Leader Wednesday. The Californian Republican will lead House GOP members after Speaker Paul Ryan leaves Capitol Hill at the end of his term in January. The vote was overwhelmingly in support of McCarthy, 159 to 43.
4 Tennessean women took a stand after a journalist recorded video of a mall security guard handcuffing a black man for reportedly wearing a hoodie. They donned their own hoods and went to the exact same mall to see how they would be treated. CNN's Jenny DiPricio has the story.
This is the picture posted on social media. The women say they walked around for more than a mile around the Wolf Chase Galleria wearing hoodies, sometimes wearing them up, sometimes down. Sometimes security politely asked them to take their hoods down, and they did. The women say they did it to prove a point that some members of the community are constantly harassed, while others are given a pass. Earlier this month, former commercial appeal reporter Kevin McKenzie was arrested and booked for trespassing after he recorded video of an incident between the mall security and the young African-American men. After the incident, McKenzie said this.
I never saw a single hoodie up.
When I saw them, I simply followed because, again, as a black man in America, we have a problem in retail facilities.
The mall's code of conduct doesn't actually mention anything about hoodies, but does require appropriate clothing. Today, rapper Yo Gotti tweeted about the women, saying they helped bring to light the double standard we face across our community and across America.
And I think white folks should be using their privilege in order to expose some of these things.
Paul Garner with the Mid-South Peace and Justice Center isn't surprised.
Hopefully the mall will take this under consideration and do the right thing, revise that policy. I think it would be great to see them issue apologies to the folks who were targeted and mistreated under this so-called policy.
Both Mackenzie and the men involved in the incident were told not to return to the mall.
A couple in Tennessee is outraged after they said a hairdresser refused service to their son who has Down syndrome. CNN's Kelly Thomas has a story from Chattanooga.
6 weeks on the dot. Luca Hyde is a regular at his local Great Clips.
Oh, those parents, those kids with special needs, they're just always asking for more than anybody else gets. I'm like, all we wanted was a haircut.
When the 15-year-old living with Down syndrome heard his name called for his appointment, his parents say he was rather turned away by a hairdresser.
She looks at him like he's nothing, like she's just totally disinterested or even disgusted.
Luca's parents say the hairdresser, who we are not naming, had never met Luca before.
With no reason given and the look on her face, the only thing that you can assume is that he has a disability.
Federal law says state or federally funded organizations cannot refuse service based on a disability. According to Title III in the Americans with Disabilities Act, neither can private businesses.
This happens all the time. We just happen to be parents that do something about it.
We tried to call the hairdresser accused of discrimination, but we could not get a hold of her.
We're sorry.
The family says the owner told them that the hairdresser quit after being confronted about this incident. We tracked down the owner of Great Clips, but they wouldn't comment on her employment status. As for Luca,
he will forget that. We will forget it, but she won't. Her life is far worse than ours would ever be because she has hate in her somewhere.
He isn't letting Sunday dull his spirit. His parents are chipping away at a problem they say their family faces on a regular basis.
If nothing else, it's given us an opportunity to have the conversation and say that's not okay.
For the weather, let's head over to Aaliyah Harris.
Thanks, Karina. The deadliest wildfire in Northern California history has claimed 48 lives and close to 9,000 buildings. Firefighters had a challenging time trying to put the fire out with limited visibility and strong winds. The fire has started to die down in some areas. Homeowners have already started to return to salvage what they can from their homes that were destroyed in the Northern California wildfire. The death toll for the Woolsey fire in Southern California has increased to 2, and 435 buildings have been destroyed. However, these numbers are expected to increase as search teams are still searching for missing family members and firefighters are still trying to put the flames out. The California Fire Department has received help from 16 other states, with Tennessee being one of them, to help put the flames out. Currently, more than 300,000 people were forced to evacuate. The cause of both fires is still under investigation to determine how it happened. We will update you as the information comes in. CNN's Paul Verkaman is live with Malibu, California with the latest.
Firefighters in California facing treacherous conditions and tragedy as they work to contain multiple wildfires.
We are not out of the woods yet. We still have some incredibly tough conditions ahead of us.
Strong gusts are fueling the deadly Woolsey fire in Southern California, and there's little chance of rain.
As Santa Ana winds continue and the new fires begin, we ask the public to remain vigilant and listen to our law enforcement counterparts on evacuations.
Farther north in Butte County, the Camp Fire, the state's deadliest blaze on record, has claimed dozens of lives. That number expected to increase.
Heavenly Father, please help us. Please help us to be safe.
Bryn Parrott Chatfield was among the fortunate ones who got out in time. She lost her home and business, but her family is safe.
Thousands of people made a similar drive like that. Thousands of people experienced that exact same thing or even worse.
Others, however, were not as fortunate. More search and recovery crews are heading to Paradise today, a community now in ashes. Officials are now asking loved ones to provide DNA samples as they work to identify victims.
All right, so let's get started with the weather today. So the current national temperatures is Los Angeles at 64, Seattle at 49, Denver at 42, Dallas at 50, Chicago at 37, Atlanta at 35, and New York at 41. So for today's highs, it's still a little bit chilly outside, so make sure you have a coat on and some snow boots, of course. So Memphis at 58, Clarksville at 52, Nashville at 55, Chattanooga at 57, and Knoxville at 52. So tonight it's going to be pretty cold. We don't have any freeze warnings this time, but please make sure that you're burning some kind of water to make sure your pipes don't freeze overnight. We have Memphis at 39, Clarksville at 30, Nashville at 31, Chattanooga at 32, and Knoxville at 30. So the current temperature right now is 40 degrees with lots of sun out, trying to get some low warmth there. Winds at 7 miles per hour. And tonight it's going to be 36 degrees with some showers in the works. So make sure you have an umbrella and a coat, of course. So for a 5-day forecast, it's going to be mostly sunny with a high of 53 and a low of 30. Saturday, it's going to be mostly sunny with some clouds peeking out throughout the day with a high of 60 and a low of 38. So we finally get a little bit of warmth there before it gets cold again for later on in the week. Sunday, it's going to be mostly cloudy with a high of 53, a low of 35. Monday, it's going to be partly cloudy with a high of 48 and a low of 30. Tuesday, it's going to be partly cloudy as well, a high of 50 and a low of 28. And still ahead, Gabe Jones tells us what's happening in the world of sports. APSU-TV News will be right back.
How will you lead to a better future? Will you lead through life-changing innovations, or will your leadership shine through the quality of your work? Success is defined by the individual. So it's time to think about the person you want to be and where you will learn to lead through excellence. It's time to become a governor at Austin Peay.
Welcome back. A former NFL linebacker has come out as gay and announced he is getting married. Jeff Rohrer has played for the Dallas Cowboys in the 1980s. Outsports and the New York Times report Rohrer is set to marry his partner, Joshua Ross, Sunday in California. The 59-year-old will become the first known NFL player, former or current, to enter into a same-sex marriage. The couple has been together for more than 2 years. This will be Rohrer's second marriage. He has 2 teenage children from his first marriage, which ended in a divorce. For more information on what's happening in sports, let's head over to Gabriel Jones.
Thanks, Karina. Starting with volleyball, our Lady Govs have captured back-to-back OVC regular season titles for the first time in program history with the win over SIUE in Eastern Illinois. Seniors Kristen Stucker, Cecily Gable, and Logan Carger have all been named first team All-OVC. Coach Taylor Mott was named OVC Coach of the Year for the second consecutive year. And for the second straight year, Austin Peay will host the OVC Volleyball Championship in the Dunn Center. The tournament started Thursday, November 15th, and will last until Saturday. Come out and support the Lady Govs on their road to glory. Representatives from the Austin Peay Governor's Cross Country team wrapped up in Tallahassee, Florida for the NCAA South Regional. Austin Peay's Marcus Modi reports, quote, over 30 teams competed in the women's 6K race to go along with over 200 runners. On the men's behalf, 24 teams battled in the 10-kilometer race with over 160 runners. Senior Caroline Kiplagat finished 132nd with a time of 23 minutes and 24 seconds. And for the men, Wesley Gray finished 101st with a time of 34 minutes and 6 seconds, end quote. The regional wraps up with these 2 seniors' collegiate careers. The Governor's football team suffered a huge loss to Eastern Illinois Panthers on the road last Saturday. After going down 35-7 going into halftime, the Governors tried to fight back into the game, but the deficit was just too much to overcome. Quarterback Jeremiah Oswald threw a pair of touchdowns, one being to number 10 sophomore Gabriel Samare. the first of his career, and the other being the senior DJ Montgomery. Tomorrow, the Govs host rival Murray State in the Heritage Bank Battle of the Border to close out the season. There will be festivities before, during, and after the game, as the contest will serve as Military Appreciation Day and Senior Day. Kickoff is at 4 p.m. Wednesday, our Lady Govs were balling on the hardwood, defeating Trevecca Trojans 90-78 to remain unbeaten at home. Senior Keisha Gregory led the way with 19 points and 5 assists, shooting a perfect 9 for 9 at the charity stripe. Ariel Gonzalez Varner snagged 10 rebounds in just the second half to finish with her career high of 14 boards. And Brandy Furby was on fire from downtown, shooting 4 for 6 from deep, finishing with 16 points. The Lady Govs will face off against Mississippi Valley State on Monday at 7 p.m. in the Dunn. Fleeing the dropping temperatures of Tennessee, the Govs men's basketball team traveled south to Florida, then Jamaica for the Jersey Mike's Jamaica Classic in Montego Bay. The Govs will play against UCF in Tampa. This will be the first of 4 games the Govs will play in the Classic. We wish the boys good luck and safe travel.
If you're looking for something to get you into the Christmas spirit this weekend, you can check out Christmas Town at the Customs House. Experience hundreds of porcelain pieces with lights and moving parts that make up a large display of Christmas Town. There's even a model train making its way through the village. The experience of Christmas Town will be open until January 27th. For more information and prices of tickets, you can go to their website at www.customshousemuseum.org or call 931-648-5780. In the spirit of the holidays, many organizations are giving back to their community. Phi Gamma Delta is holding a clothing drive until Tuesday at 3 p.m. They are also hosting Penny Wars for charity in the UC. The sorority Alpha Delta Pi is hosting Penny Wars, where all their donations will be going towards Camp Rainbow. Donations will end today. They also have an event going on this evening at 7 p.m. where they will be sharing all of the proceeds that were donated for Camp Rainbow. The fraternity Kappa Alpha is hosting a kickball tournament for muscular dystrophy. Their donations will end today as well, and the kickball tournament will be on Saturday starting at 11 in the morning. The winner of the tournament will be given $100 to donate to a charity of their choice.
A Florida woman suffering from an aggressive form of lung cancer has a wish. She wants to see Disney World with her grandkids, but she can't afford it. As CNN's Andrew Latham reports from Fort Pierce, the community stepped in to make it happen.
You don't normally choose your family, but this story is an exception.
I tell everybody, Chris is my brother, Corey is my sister.
It was a legal promise 3 years ago, a contingency plan just in case. Chris Gamble has been Linda's supervisor at the Fairwinds Golf Course in St. Lucie County for 20 years. They became friends, and now they're family.
If it wasn't for Chris and Corey, I probably couldn't have adopted my kids.
That's because when Linda took custody of her grandkids 3 years ago, she had to find someone to agree to adopt them if something ever happened to her. Chris and his wife Corey stepped right up.
We all started spending time together. We spent holidays together and getting to know each other so that, you know, if something should happen, the transition could happen less painfully than if they were to go with strangers.
2 months later, Linda was diagnosed with an aggressive form of lung cancer.
My baby wanted to go to Disney World, and we wanted this to come true, that he go to Disney World. So if anything happened to me, he could say, I enjoyed Disney World with my grandma.
Enter Big Apple Pizza here in Fort Pierce. They hosted a fundraiser here to make sure Disney would happen. Linda, as she always does, smiling and dancing all the way to Main Street, USA.
I'm gonna whoop this. I'm not gonna let it get the best of me. And I'm gonna enjoy my kids and enjoy my boss, and wherever I go, I'm gonna just enjoy life.
If, you know, they do lose their grandma, it's gonna be hard, but we're gonna do everything we can to make it as easy as possible.
The fundraiser brought in about $7,000 for the trip and counting. Young and her grandkids will be headed to Disney World on Monday.
A bridge in Ontario has been the site of several suicide and suicide attempts. So a couple of women decided to go the extra mile to help. They camped out on the bridge all night so they could be there to help anyone in their hour of need. CNN's Jess Rusak has the story.
The Burgoyne Bridge is new. It was built last year, but the bridge in downtown St. Catharines is already home to tragedy.
Unfortunately, there's been a couple of suicides and suicide attempts.
That loss of life impacted the St. Catharines community. So they reacted.
It just goes to show the community does come back every time.
Dozens left notes of encouragement along the rails of this bridge, including Rachel Phillips and Christina Pizzoni.
We should just show that we care.
These two friends wanted to do more than leave a note. Monday night, they sat on folding chairs and waited. They waited for anyone and everyone. They were here to talk.
You know, we listen, and so why not out here at ground zero?
Sometimes just sitting down and listening is all you really need.
The two work as hospital security guards. They say they often deal with traumatic situations and know personally what depression is.
We can all get to a point where we hit rock bottom, and it's so dark and it's suffocating, and it's like, you know, being tossed around the Atlantic Ocean with only a rubber ducky to hold on to, and that's what depression does.
They talked, they listened, they learned. They sat on this bridge all night, just in case anyone needed them. And one day, they're going to do it again.
Just spread the love. It works miracles.
The St. Catharines Standard reports the city is planning to place suicide prevention barriers or netting on the bridge.
If you or a loved one are having suicidal thoughts, help is always available. There are many resources online, and you can get free confrontational support 24/7 from the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255.
Do you want to support Austin Peay and its students? The APSU Theater Department is producing the play You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. The show, directed by Ernie Nolan, stars Brett Carson as Charlie Brown. The production follows all of your favorite childhood Peanuts characters, Charlie, Sally, Linus, Lucy, and the rest of the gang on their misadventures. If you're in need for a sense of nostalgia, fun-loving musical numbers, and stellar acting from your very own theater department, be sure to grab your ticket. The show runs tonight at 7:30 and then runs again this weekend. You can join me on Saturday and also Sunday at 2 o'clock. You can purchase your very own ticket in the Traherne building.
November is National Lung Cancer Awareness Month, a time for everyone to play a part and make a difference for the hundreds of thousands of people who are diagnosed or die from the disease each year. Here's CNN's Kim Hutcherson for today's Health Minute.
November is Lung Cancer Awareness Month, a time to bring attention to the more than 200,000 people in the U.S. who are diagnosed with lung cancer each year, and a reminder that more than 150,000 people die from this disease yearly. Despite what many people might think, those cases are not limited to smokers. The CDC says about 80 to 90% of lung cancers are connected to cigarette smoking. Other known risk factors include exposure to secondhand smoke, a family history of the disease, and exposure to certain air pollutants like asbestos, arsenic, radon, even diesel fumes. If diagnosed early, lung cancer is actually highly curable, but only about 16% of cases are caught at stage 1. Doctors hope that raising awareness of lung cancer, along with advances in screening, will lead to fewer late-stage diagnoses. For today's Health Minute, I'm Kim Hutcherson.
So you guys have any plans for Thanksgiving?
Well, I'm basically spend time with my family, and I also work on Black Friday, so get out there and join the sales that we're going to have. So.
Where do you work?
Best Buy.
Ooh, okay, that would be a good sale, yeah. What about you guys?
I plan to stuff myself with my grandma's cooking.
Oh yeah, what's your favorite?
Oh my gosh, don't make me pick that. Everything. What about you?
Turkey.
Turkey.
And that's all the time we have for today. Be sure to join us in the interaction by liking us on Facebook at APSU-TV Clarksville and Instagram at APSU_TV.
Thanks for watching another edition of your Gov Weekend Update.
And as always,
let's go Peay!